What's up, y'all? One Piece One Life here, and guys, well, I guess we know who the strongest One Piece child is. We thought that Ace defeating full-grown pirates at age 10 was impressive. Nah. We thought that Big Mom slapping a giant so hard he died at age 5 was impressive. But nah. We thought that Odin obliterating a bear with a boulder at age 4 was impressive. But nah, what we just saw Loki did in his backstory, he's literally the strongest infant in the world. I simply can't wait to get into it, y'all. So this is gonna be One Piece chapter 1153 reviewed. But before we get into seeing possibly the wildest child feats we'll ever see, please do something for me. Like the video, okay? It's very important. Subscribe to the channel for more One Piece and anime content every week, just like this. And share it around with all your friends who love the series. You know what we always say here, let's get it going. Oh, and make sure you subscribe to me and my boys over at CSY. We're really trying to push to 8K, and we have a new video out that we could really use your help on. Now, the title of this chapter is The Birth of Loki, and I just can't believe that we're finally getting the Loki flashback that we've all been waiting for since we got to Elbaf. Also, can I just say, it feels really good to be wearing this hat again. The last two chapter reviews have different reasons why they couldn't be full-on videos, but I made them as shorts, which you should definitely go and check out if you haven't after this. But nah, nothing beats Monkey D. Me. Now the chapter starts out where 1152 left off, which is seeing how King Harold was initially raised. So we see that Harold was actually old friends with Dory and Broggy when they were kids, but as he continued to grow older, he became unruly, uncontrollable, and basically scum. And he kind of has just the typical giant demeanor of, oh my goodness, humans are so weak and puny, this isn't even worth my time. But as we go on to see, he still has much love for his people, of course. His pirate crew sails to the kingdom of Bunt, where we see a giantess in a cage who's almost looking like some sort of roadside attraction. Like humans are using her as like a circus freak type of thing. Well, Harold sees that and he's not too pleased. So him and his guys go and literally like rough up the island so bad everything is destroyed, freeing said giantess in the process and bringing them back on her ship. Now this giantess, we learned that her name is Ida, but she simply slaps the shit out of Harold and is like, we need to turn around and apologize to them immediately. Harold of course is confused, like why in the hell would we do that? But then she just beats him up again and is like, you don't even think to understand what's actually going on. Turns out Ida was actually on the brink of death and drifted to their island, and they took her in, nursed her, and then was actually allowing her to do that of her own free will to, you know, gain some money for herself. And the thing is, at this point in time, Harold has a very set mindset that humans are just like little dolls and so puny and therefore insignificant. But at this point, Ida is literally taking him and is like, listen, you were just born big. That's not your fault, that's not their fault. But everybody has a right to live. Everybody has something valuable about them. And then there's almost like a click moment in his mind where he's like, I was just born big? After that, you can bet that the giants turned right back around and helped them rebuild their kingdom. And as the giants and humans started becoming friends, they started like trading knowledge with each other about like construction and cooking and all that great stuff. Ida makes him apologize, literally is like, you need to bow your head down and apologize. But after that, they're just palling around it because we can even see Harold teaching them the Nika dance. So after that, we simply just get a montage of Ida traveling around with Harold and his crew and just kind of going to different places, seeing what the world has to offer. With Ida just basically explaining to him like, yeah, I was born in the South Blue, one thing led to another, and I'm here now. I mean, we see them palling around, Harold and Ida are smiling and everything. And y'all, at this stage, what can we really say about this guy? Oh, I know. King Harold is just like any other man, changing at a moment's notice for a woman. If you are a guy above the age of 13, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I've experienced it, you've experienced it, it's a universal experience. When you find out one person and you're like, damn, maybe I should change, maybe I'm the problem. Not saying that I've ever been the problem, of course. Of course not. But safe to say, because of Ida, Harold has now calmed down, with even his crew commenting on how much he's changed. Now 105 years ago on Elbaf, we have Harold telling his people, yo, we are not about to be plundering no more, we need to change, we've committed so many sins and it's time to atone for them. Essentially, this is where the whole Harold for pacifism thing has erupted from, where he's trying to become more diplomatic, create ties with other islands around, extend hands to humans, everything like that. But what we see is that the people are actually pretty willing to follow him. Even old legends like Jarul and Joru, who we haven't even seen since Big Mom killed him, but seeing him in a flashback like this, very interesting. But both of them are just like, ooh, an interesting change for Elbaf. Let's see how the times treat us. So we just get more and more montages of Harold like trying to actually form that deeper connection with the people, going around trading secrets and everything like that. And then 81 years ago, Hyruldin, his first son, was born. However, we have these giants who, see, I don't know if they are a council or they're just a representative of giant society as a whole, but they're saying that, yeah, we can't legitimize this baby and this marriage, unfortunately, because she's not of Elbafian blood. But I mean, hey, it's not like they're kicking her off of Elbaf or anything. They're just saying that, yeah, you can't really be the queen, but you know, you can still live in the villages near here. Like, we're not going to treat you horribly. And this is where the problems start. Because as Ida and baby Hyruldin are being shipped off to another village, the elders are bringing in this new lady to be his wife. We're introduced to Lady Estrid, a giantess of noble heritage, and might I just say, Oda, I don't know what it is that you're doing with the women of Elbaf, but you need to be stopped. I think he's having entirely too much fun coming up with these character designs. First Gerd, then Ripley, now her. And the first thing that I thought of when I saw her was actually how much she looks like somebody from Boa's Kuja tribe. But of course, we all know what it is. It's the standard Oda formula for a beautiful woman. Hourglass figure and pretty face. But see, here's the thing about her. She's kind of off her rocker. Because she starts talking about how, oh, I'm into the earth, wind, spirit, arts, and everything like that. I don't know what y'all thought when you read this. Personally, I thought that she's somebody who believes in astrology. And as we all know, believing in astrology is a problem. She's talking about, I'm fated to love you for the rest of my life. Just forget about that woman and your bastard of a son. And I'm not gonna lie, Harold was way too pacifist here, because I would have been like, who the hell are you talking about? I'm not gonna lie, Elbaf is becoming a telenovela. This is just baby mama drama. But Estrid is just like, oh, the energy's in here, it's all off. We need to close the windows. We need to take all of the king's treasure and move it to my room. I'm just like, okay, wait, that's one of those things is not like the other. But curiously, one of the things that she said is that that mirror there is positioned in a 5-star pentagram, which is a very curious thing to say considering the theories about Harold and the world government collaborating. And then Estrid brings in a huge horse with 8 legs. And we're introduced to Ashura, the horse of good fortune. As we learned a few chapters back, apparently this is the horse that randomly died when Loki was born that everybody attributed to Loki's curse. Also, bear in mind, we actually get no answer as to why it has 8 legs. It just does. Now, around 70 years ago, we have the fact that the seas are becoming much more rough, and Harold is actually teaching people about Elbaf navigation. And they're actually using old sailor techniques like using the North Star to guide you, which is actually pretty cool to include in the manga. In another point in time, Harold is telling his people about how he met fishmen and merfolk, but then 63 years ago, is when everything changed. Harold was overseas, and this was the day that Loki was born. However, as Estrid goes to gaze upon the face of her child, we see that his eyes are completely like bloodshot and almost like demonized. Now, I don't know what y'all thought about when you saw this. Personally, I was just like, that's some pretty interesting eyes for Loki to have, and I'm sure it ties into why he wears blindfolds all the time. But I definitely didn't have Estrid's reaction, because she completely freaks out and is like, this is the most atrocious baby that I've ever seen in my life. I can't believe that this thing came out of me, and you know what? No, this isn't happening. And then she literally goes crazy, because she tells the servants, yeah, you're gonna tell the king that this was a stillbirth, because I'm going to throw this baby off of the sun layer into the underworld to kill it. We literally see Loki plunging into the underworld because his mother literally threw him down, cast him down, with Esther just saying, no child was born on this day. That is a story we're gonna tell everybody. And now to me, this is actually really interesting because it ties into Greek mythology of all places. Cause see, when Hephaestus was born deformed from Hera, the exact same thing happened where she was like, this deformity, I hate him, we're gonna cast him down. She threw him off of Mount Olympus, and later on, Hephaestus, because of that, got revenge on her. Now this ties very interestingly into the fact that maybe it is a curse then, because if we're drawing on that, it's something that had to have killed her. But then we get an alert that there's a sound coming from the underworld, and no one knows what it is. And in a huge panel, we see that baby Loki, mind you, literal day 1 of birth Loki, is climbing up the mountain out of the underworld. And we already see that he has killed and decapitated some sort of creature down in the underworld and is literally crawling his way back out. Whole time Harold is off at sea and he's just like, the world government is blocking me again. He's still trying to figure out his diplomatic shit. But eventually, Estrid dies to ill health. And they literally say that from then on, every misfortune that has happened on Elbaf has been attributed to the curse of Loki. And y'all, oh my god. Because genuinely, I don't even know what to say at this point. To see a literal 1-day-old climbing its way out of the depths of hell this is unparalleled strength. And one thing's for sure, we're definitely underestimating where Loki is gonna be right now in the current day strength-wise. I know I definitely did. In my most recent top 30 video, I had Loki at 21, with Yamato one place below him at 22 and Zoro one place above him at 20. Because essentially, based off of the way that he was being talked about at that point, I thought that he was kind of the tippy top of the Yonko Commander 1 kind of sphere, or at least getting past that. But nah, after this, he literally has to be Yonko level. I genuinely think that current Prime Day Loki may be around the sphere of Big Mom or Kaido, which I'm not gonna lie, combined with Luffy right now is exactly what we need to figure out Elbaf's problems upstairs. So I don't know, I'm personally just incredibly excited for the next few chapters where we're learning more about Loki and especially seeing what happened to Harold. I'm still maintaining that it was a whole Domi Reversi situation, but let's see. But yeah guys, that's the chapter, but what did you think about it? Personally, I'm giving this chapter a solid 8 out of 10. It was very enjoyable for me. Actually, I might drop it a 7. Everything before the whole Loki part was kind of meh. That's the end of the video, y'all, but before we go, like it, subscribe, and share it around with all your friends who love this series, or anime and manga in general. Remember, I'm trying to build a community, but I need your help to do it. Now that's gonna be all from me. I'll catch you on the next one, and always remember, One Piece, one life. Now if you'll excuse me, I have some sushi to go eat.